Okay, y'all, so to get this all pan off, there's a series of 10 millimeter bolts. These go around the perimeter of the oil pan along the flange. I believe there are 14, 12 or 14 of these 10 millimeters. The oil filter, it doesn't have to come off, it's optional. There's no more oil in there. I can take that off a little later. But I'm gonna go ahead and just get a 3/8 ratchet impact, I'm sorry, 3/8 impact. So whizzing these bolts off. So the 10 millimeters that are closer to the transmission on the flywheel side where the transmission bell housing goes, I couldn't get my ratchet, my impact, I'm sorry, to fit in between. So I had to get a 3/8 extension. I believe this was a 6-inch extension just to go ahead and get around the wrist. There are more 10 millimeters that are inserted in the side where the transmission bell housing screen is. You'll see those come off. They're just little black window cutouts, but these go in horizontally as opposed to vertically. The oil pan, it may or may not need to be pried off. In this case, it wasn't too bad. The gasket, more than likely, was the OEM. So I just took a pry bar, kind of hit on the corners, pried on the corners, but it immediately started to come up once I got on a little bit of a good leverage on the first corner, so it wasn't too bad to take off. Didn't realize that I had missed a bolt, and this was one of those horizontally inserted 10 millimeters where the transmission, like a window cover, bell housing cover, where it mounts to. You see there's more of that coffee looking mixture to coolant and water. Of course it'll be down here in the oil pan. This is where the oil lives when it's not circulating to the engine. Next we're going to have to move on to taking the pickup tube off, which is this here. It's mounted to the oil pump, which is up at the front most part of the engine where the timing chain is. So I'm going to get that undone next. It's a 10 millimeter, one 10 millimeter bolt attached to the oil pump, and the rest are windage tray bolts. I believe those are 13 millimeters. Just going to get a ratchet and get those wheels off. So I had to keep wiping my gloves off. There was so much oil everywhere, especially on these oil pan bolts. The oil pan gasket, especially at this age, I'm sure the mileage is high, but the oil pan gasket was leaking, so bolts were covered in oil, and also the rest of the block, the internals of the block rather, with the windows tray and etc. It was covered in oil. This is where the oil lives when it's not rotating or circulating through the engine. So again, these windage tray bolts, there is two, four, I believe there's 8 of them if I'm not mistaken, but they are 13 millimeters. 2 of them are also attached to the pickup tube, so we're gonna have to get all those undone. Get one of them, or 2 of them actually. There's one across from the other, 13 millimeters for the pickup tube, and then we can release it. Here are the 2 bolts. These 13 millimeters, they are holding down the windage tray, but there's also a little flange that is welded to the pickup tube, so it braces the pickup tube along with that 10 millimeter that I just whizzed off of the oil pump. You'll see after I'm whizzing off these bolts, the oil pan bolts, all of them, the windage tray bolts as well. As I'm taking them off, you'll notice they're getting stuck inside of the socket. That's because there's so much oil and sand, dirt on the top of on the head of the bolt. It is actually wedging itself into the socket, so I'm having to kind of use my fingers to pick them out. So the O-ring on these pickup tubes, they have a tendency to, once they go bad and they wear out, they have a tendency to cause low oil pressure. I was just inspecting that one to see if it had been changed before, which it hadn't. It's the original one.
Alright, y'all, so got this thing flipped over, got the all pan removed. This is a look fresh mocha milkshake action. Look at that. Look at that mocha latte caramel milkshake we got flowing through the oil pump. Obviously, it's not supposed to look like that. This should be oil, pure oil. But since we had a blown head gasket, we end up with this chocolate milk mocha frappe looking substance. It's all in water. She's been churning around, sitting. I don't see any. Oh, what is that, baby? Oh, no, it's nothing. I don't see any other damage. The cam lobes look all right. I don't see any bent rods. Rods look all right. Nothing looks disintegrated or anything. Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, look at that. Am I tripping, baby? No, I just probably think it just the angle. It looks pretty straight. Almost looked like it was twisted. We're gonna find out when we take it out. No, I think it just kept the angle. They are kind of jade, like a little J when they connect to the rod. When they connect to the crank. So we're gonna see what's going on. Get the rest of it taken apart. All pans over here. Blah blah. Nothing fancy. Gonna start taking these connecting rods out, get the main caps removed, and get this crank out of here.
So before I pulled the main caps or removed any of the pistons, I wanted to rotate the crank just to see if I can see anything out of the ordinary or notice anything out of the ordinary. So I'm grabbing a 15/16 socket to use the crank bolt to rotate the crankshaft and rotate the assembly. I did discover that the number 2 cylinder, the connecting rod for the piston, it was bent, had an S curve to it. Also, the wrist pin was off centered. This is more than likely due to the piston trying to compress water, which is not what it's intended for. It's intended to compress air. So with that head gasket failing and the cylinder ingesting a great deal amount of water, it bent the rod. Checked all the other rods. I didn't notice any other curvatures or anything like that, so won't be able to tell completely until we get all of them removed and inspect them. But as for now, it looks like it's just that number 2.